NFL Sunday. News.
Back here at Rich Stadium, Eric Clemens and Trevor Maddich. We have already gotten underway. Steve Christie's kickoff down in the end zone by the Vikings, and the Vikings will come out with Brad Johnson. We talked about him earlier. If he's a guy who can just duplicate those numbers, carry him through an entire season instead of just 8 games, those are Pro Bowl numbers. He's at the helm at quarterback with Robert Smith and Charles Evans behind him. Hunter Goodwin in motion to the far side. Play fake, and Johnson quick strike over to Chris Carter, and Carter up near first down yardage at the 29-yard line. Take a look at the Vikings offensive line, an experienced group they are, together once again for the second straight year. Stussy, potential Pro Bowler, the perennial Pro Bowler, McDaniel, Christie, Dixon, and Corey Stringer, a huge right side of the line. Backs and receivers, Smith, Evans, Carter, and Jake Reed. You won't find any two better. In the starting tight end, Hunter Goodwin. Second down and very short. Greg DeLong was in motion there, and Robert Smith picked his way through a hole, has room, across the 40. Smith finally pushed out of bounds in Buffalo territory at about the 46-yard line. Robert Smith showing that great speed once again to get outside, and he hit it hard before Kurt Schultz pushed him out of bounds.
This is the dimension that Robert Smith gives them that they missed last year when he was injured. He's going to come right through on this side. All it is a simple zone blocking play. Nobody pulls. He goes through a hole, and now he turns on the jets, and he's outrunning Kurt Schultz right here. You can see that this is a dimension that they haven't had. A big play like that starts off the game the way they want it to be started.
Call it 1st and 10 at the Bills 47. Smith on the pitch. He is upended in the backfield and taken down. Bryce Pop was the first one to hit him for a big loss. Look at the Buffalo Bills defense, one of the top-rated units in the National Football League last season, and just about everybody is back. The front line there, all-world Bruce Smith, Ted Washington, and Phil Hansen, a star player in his own right. The linebacking core, Sam Rogers, Covington, Chris Spielman, over 200 tackles last year, and Bryce Pop, the sack artist there in the secondary. Smith, Jones, Kurt Schultz, and Jeff Burris. So now the Vikings come out. Brad Johnson appears to be changing the play at the line of scrimmage. 3 wide receivers set. Had some movement in the line, and Johnson will strike it complete to Chris Carter, who's looking for more yardage, but he's tackled at about the 49, but flags are down on the play. We had some movement on both sides of the football. Let's see the call. Bruce Smith vehemently arguing there, and it's offside against Buffalo.
You know, Bruce Smith's game is quickness.
Number 78, 5 yards, still second down.
Okay, here's Bruce Smith right here, and he's so quick off the ball. In this case, he's a little too quick. He anticipated what snap count Brad Johnson was going to say, because what ends up happening a lot of times with young quarterbacks that are playing in loud away stadiums is that the quarterbacks will go on 2. It's easiest to go on 2. Their own offensive line is used to hearing it go on 2, and they're less likely to jump. Brad Johnson, in that case, may have gone on a different snap count with Bruce anticipating 2.
On second down and 10 now. Brad Johnson again to put it upstairs. Quick hitting his tight end, rather, Hunter Goodwin. And Goodwin gets across the 45 to the 44-yard line before Henry Jones brought him down.
Now, the Vikings are starting to establish a pattern now that Chip Myers, the receivers coach, told us earlier in the week they wanted to do. They wanted to run off the Buffalo defensive backfield, throw the ball underneath to tight ends, throw it underneath the backs, make them cover there first.
Dennis Green looking on, offensive mastermind. He's worked with the likes of Bill Walsh. He has to come up with a third down play here. Johnson, quick dump out to David Palmer. Palmer makes some moves in the open field and gets up. I think he'll be about a yard to a half yard short of the first down inside the Bills' 40.
3rd and 6. This is the first 3rd and relatively long that Todd Stussy has had to face Bruce Smith on. Here they are right here. As you can see, Stussy does a good job of getting his hands on Bruce and pushing him down. Now, the turf is a little slippery, and that's going to help Stussy today. Now, as you can see, Robert Smith is being counted on to beat people with his speed. And right here, you know, he just stopped Sam Rogers there. And if Sam hadn't had that help, he'd have had some trouble.
Look at this. On 4th and short, your punter, Randall Cunningham, who last punted the football in 1994. Quick kick that went 80 yards. This one is a nice high kick. Bounces at the 5 and goes out of bounds. So Randall Cunningham kicking the ball again works this time as the Bills will start in bad position at their own 6-yard line when they take over. Randall Cunningham puts his defense in good shape. The Bills take over on offense when we return to Buffalo in just a moment.
Southwest Airlines, with fares so low, you have the freedom to fly. By the new 1997 Toyota Camry, now better than ever. By Coors Light, proud partner of the John Wayne Cancer Institute and their search for a cure. And by 1-800-COLLECT. It's the way to call Collect.
No score here at Rich Stadium. The Bills, new era. Todd Collins officially starts, and he hands it off to Thurman Thomas, who has some room around the left side. Gets out across the 10 to the 11-yard line before he's taken down by John Randall. Todd Collins, a new era begins. Of course, the beloved Jim Kelly cannot be replaced here in Buffalo, but Todd Collins will do his best to create some new memories. Not a bad stint last season. 55.6% of his passes completed, 4 touchdowns and 5 picks. We'll meet the rest of the offense a little bit later on. Lonnie Johnson is in motion to the far side. Now comes back this way. 2 receivers split out this side, and Thurman Thomas again. Thomas out across the 15 to the 16. That'll be a first down for Buffalo. We'll meet the Bills linemen and backs and receivers. The offensive line, nothing else. It is a big one. John Fina, Reuben Brown, the Pro Bowler. Ziegler takes over for Kent Hull at center. Ostrowski and Lucci, they'll be involved in that rotation that we talked about earlier. And the backs and receivers, Thurman Thomas, Klein, Quinn Early, Andre Reed, and Lonnie Johnson. Actually, Lonnie Johnson, another starter today at the double tight end set that Dan Henning, the offensive coordinator, likes to run. On first down, Thurman Thomas, big hole out across the 20. Up near the 30-yard line. So the Bills pounding away at the much smaller defensive alignment of the Minnesota Vikings.
The Bills have not run a pass so far. They know that in order to protect Todd Collins from the blitzing Vikings, they've got to be able to rush the ball well. And you can see here that they run just a simple play off left tackle, and there's nobody that touches Thurman until right there. He's about 10 yards down the field before the first Viking even gets there. If they can keep this up, that'll keep the pass rush off of Todd Collins, and Todd Collins won't be under pressure to win this game for him.
Dixon Edwards in on the stop after a big gain by Thurman Thomas, who's off to a great start, so they go back to the workhorse, and this time Thurman Thomas has stood up just a little bit. Fernando Smith, one of the first ones in to meet him, along with Jeff Brady. Let's meet the Minnesota Vikings defense, anchored by that guy, All-Pro John Randall. He had 11.5 sacks last season. Smith, Fisk, and Alexander round out the line, the linebackers. Jeff Brady is in the middle. Ed McDaniel back off missing all of last year with the knee injury. And Orlando Thomas, injured in the playoffs last year against Dallas, also back off knee surgery at free safety. 2 tight end alignment once again for the Bills. And Collins to attempt his first pass. Running out of time in the pocket, now tries to go somewhere, and John Randall says, you're not going anywhere. So down he goes. Call it a sack, number 1 on the year for John Randall, who had 11.5 in 96.
Randall McDaniel has had 69 sacks since 1991. He's going to be coming in from right there. And there's good coverage downfield, so there's nowhere to actually throw the ball for Collins. So he's got to get out of there. This is a coverage sack. But one thing that Minnesota did was they blitzed Robert Griffith, the safety. They told us yesterday that they want to blitz those safeties. If the running game doesn't go, they'll be able to do that all game.
On 3rd and 14, 3 wide receiver alignment, 5 defensive backs in for the Vikings, and on the semi rollout, Collins now screen set up the other way, and Thurman Thomas has it, but he's surrounded by white shirts and ridden out of bounds. Jason Fisk, one of them over there, along with Dwayne Washington. So the Bills drive stalls after they get off to such a great start running the ball with Thurman Thomas. Chris Moore will come on to punt. David Palmer back deep to receive the punt. The up man will be Robert Tate, the rookie out of Cincinnati who made a splash returning kicks on special teams for the Vikings during the preseason. Moore will strike this one from about his 20, 21-yard line. High hanging kick. Fair catch signal by Palmer at his 25, and that's where the Vikings will start with their second possession of the game. 7:36 to go, first quarter. No score here at Rich Stadium. The local listings for the game and time in your area. First and 10 for the Vikings on their own 25-yard line, their second possession of this game. Halfway through the first quarter, and that's Robert Smith cutting it back, getting good yardage, picking up about 7 out to the 32-yard line.
Ted Washington making the stop.
Ted Washington brought him down on the play.
A 7-yard gain.
As you watch Robert Smith run, what you see is that even when he's cutting, a lot of stuff is happening. Robert Smith is going to come through to this side on the right. You're going to see Randy McDaniel pull around, but now look, he'll never slow down. He's cutting there, he's moving, there's movement everywhere.
Chris Spielman kind of missed the tackle there. He wishes he had that one back. He does not miss many. 206 tackles on the year, and Johnson to throw again. Quickly out of the backfield to Robert Smith. He has first down yardage across the 35 to the 37. Sam Rogers brought him down.
Brad Johnson yesterday in our conversation with him exuded a lot of confidence. He is a young quarterback in terms of starting with only 8 games last year under his belt, but he's 28 years old. He's got more confidence than his experience would seem to indicate. And during the preseason, he had 119.9 quarterback rating. I mean, this guy's young, but he's got a lot of qualities that you would expect from a much older guy.
This offensive coordinator, Brian Billick, boy, he gave us a clinic on offensive football at our meeting yesterday, and Brad Johnson in some trouble. Down he goes. Ted Washington the first to hit him. Hawk and Bruce Smith clean up.
This is one of the key matchups of the game. Bruce Smith versus Vikings left tackle Todd Stussy. Now they're over here. Bruce Smith has been setting up Stussy around the outside for a while. What he's going to do here is go up and spin inside, almost like a pitcher setting up a batter. You can see Bruce coming in at the last second like that. Todd overset him, and that's one thing that he talked to us about yesterday that he can't do. He can't set too far wide or Bruce will spin back inside. Watch that over the course of the game.
1 second and 14. Charles Evans gets the delay. Has some room up the middle before Henry Jones brings him down out at about the 39-yard line. So that'll set up a 3rd and long for Minnesota.
6-yard gain.
Evans is a complete back. He can run, he can block, he can catch. But Stussy was beaten by Bruce Smith on the last play on a pass. On this one, he got a hold of poor Damian Covington and drove him straight into the ground. Todd Stussy is a guy with a mean streak. Once in a while, Bruce will get his moves, but when Stussy catches you, he will let you know that he's there.
5 defensive backs in for the Bills. David Palmer in motion. So a 5 wide out set, and Brad Johnson, quick strike to Chris Carter. Cross midfield, inside the 45, down to the 43 of Buffalo. First down, Vikings. Big play there as Brad Johnson found one of the Viking quarterback's favorite targets in Chris Carter.
This is what I mean by the poise of this guy. Now, he knows he's got a 3rd and long. He knows he's got a hellacious pass rush coming. But look at Bruce Smith right there. That was a zone blitz. The zone blitz is nothing more than a guy who usually defends the pass in the defensive backfield rushing, and someone who usually rushes going and taking his place in the defensive backfield. Bruce Smith is defending the pass on that one. Didn't work.
First and 10 on the Buffalo 42, and Robert Smith met by Phil Hansen after a very short game. Hansen brings him down. He had 132 tackles in 96.
Here's that last play in the zone blitz. Here's Bruce Smith. He's supposed to rush, but instead of rushing, he's going to take one step up and come back over here. Somebody else is going to blitz off of this corner that we don't see. Now, if this isn't such a quick hitting pass play, Bruce Smith would have been back into those pass routes. Didn't have time to get there that time.
Very short game by Robert Smith. Setting up a 2nd and long. 5 defensive backs in once again for the Bills, and Brad Johnson to throw under some heavy pressure. Bruce Smith gave him a whack, and the pass is incomplete. Damian Covington was also there on the coverage, and Big Bruce was in the face of Brad Johnson that time.
This is something that Bruce Smith told us on Friday that he likes to do. Bruce is right here. Now, what he did was came around the corner. The time before, you'll remember, he spun back inside. Todd Stussy was looking for that spin inside, respecting that spin inside. Bruce came around the corner this time. He says it's much like a pitcher when he'll set up a batter with fastball, 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 and then on that one big pitch where you need a strikeout, you come back with the curveball and catch the batter off balance.
6 defensive backs now in for the Bills on 3rd and long for Johnson, who is 5 of 6 up to now. Big strike on the post pattern, and he has his man Jake Reed down right around the 21-yard line. Jeff Burris was there, but that was a perfect strike.
Now, does Brad Johnson look rattled to you? He has just been drilled by Bruce Smith. He drops back in the pocket, about a 5-step drop. You can see Johnson going back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a deep drop, sets up, and delivers the ball downfield off of his front foot. Now, you'll notice that, look at his front foot right there. He is not afraid of Bruce Smith coming in there.
I'd like to hear you now.
So on first down at the 21, Brad Johnson to throw it again. He'll go toward the end zone, and overthrown is Chris Carter. Now, for McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown at the Fox Television Center in Hollywood.
Eric and Trevor, take a look at number 37 for the Cards, Larry Center. Nice kick-out block by Center as Leland McElroy takes it in the pay dirt. Cardinals on top by a touch, trying to win for the first time ever in Cincinnati. Back to E-Man and Trevor Maddich.
Okay, JB, thank you very much, of course. JB and the crew back in Hollywood, keeping us abreast of all the other NFL action going on today. Here at Rich Stadium, Vikings on the march with Brad Johnson at the helm. No score, but the Vikings on second down from the 21-yard line of Buffalo. Johnson, quick hitter over the middle as Chris Carter. Not much, only about 3 on the play. That'll set up another 3rd and long, Trip.
It'll set up 3rd and long, and what the Vikings are trying to do in 3rd and long is confuse the defense with different kinds of pass protections. If you know what the pass protection is going to be with the problems that the Bills can give you with Bryce Popp and Bruce Smith, you can beat that pass protection. So what they're going to try to do is mix it up and confuse it. Now,
current drive over the 5-minute mark, 11th play, 6 defensive backs in for the Bills on 3rd down and long. Brad Johnson hits David Palmer, and Palmer slides across the first down marker inside the 10 to the 9. Kurt Schultz brought him down, but too late. It'll be 1st and goal for the Vikings.
David Palmer was converted from wide receiver to help as a 3rd down running back. He's a guy that they don't want to block much, but they want him to do exactly that. Now, if you'll notice, where the Vikings have been throwing the ball, they've been having the most success on short passes up the middle. They haven't really attacked the sidelines very much, and those good Buffalo cornerbacks, as long as they can continue to dink them in the middle, they will.
Double tight end set for the Vikings in 1st and goal from the 9. Leroy Hoare bouncing off some tacklers, but Damian Covington and Sam Rogers there to clean him up after a very short game.
Leroy Hoare is in the best shape of his life. He was cut last year by Carolina, was on the street for a while, and he came in and contributed to their running game. Now he's got a much fuller appreciation of life in the NFL as compared to life outside of the NFL, and he's a great compliment to Robert Smith. They only want Robert Smith to carry about 15 times today, and so Leroy Hoare will take up the rest of that load.
Call it no gain on that run by Hoare. 3 receivers set in now for the Vikings. Chris Walsh in motion to the far side, and the pitch goes to David Palmer. Palmer trying to cut through a hole, and he is brought down. Big Ted Washington, 6'4", 325 pounds. Little David Palmer doesn't have a chance there.
No, that's like a rag doll in the jaws of a Rottweiler. Ted Washington plays nose guard. He'll line up over the center, and moving him is like trying to move the foundation of a house. Here's Ted right there. You know, we talked to some Bills the other day. They said that he is the very meanest Buffalo Bill. Look at him just bend Palmer in half right there. They said if there were a brawl in the locker room, Ted Washington wouldn't have a scratch on him because nobody would want to get near that guy.
Again, a 6 defensive back alignment. This drive, the Vikings 3 for 3 on 3rd down. They'll need a touchdown to make it 4 for 4. Johnson looking, going out in the flat to Carter. Carter is surrounded by blue shirts, tries to stiff arm there, but nothing doing against Marlon Turner. He'll get down to about the 5, but the Vikings might have to settle for a field goal, and on the field comes Greg Davis.
Carter is a guy with a bit of attitude as well. He didn't just try to stiff arm Marlon Turner there. He punched him right in the jaw. Now, Carter's down right now. He might be hurt. We're going to get a timeout over here.
And that is also the end of the first quarter as well, so they'll come and check out Chris Carter, who's still down on the field, favoring his groin area, it looks like.
Yeah, if that's his abdomen or if that's his groin, he might be done for the day. A receiver, that's what he does. You know, we talked to Chris Philman about toughness the other day. He said that if you've got an upper body injury, you play. If you've got a lower body injury and can't run, you might be done. So we'll have to see what happens with Chris Carter if he's done with that lower body injury.
Vikings will attempt the field goal when we return. Pickup after being released last season by the Arizona Cardinals for the Vikings. He'll attempt the field goal. This one will come from about 21 yards out. And it is good. So the Minnesota Vikings complete a long march and get on the scoreboard first. Thanks to the Greg Davis field goal, they lead it 3-0. Back with the kickoff to the Bills in just a few moments. You can obviously see, and Greg Davis converts on the 20-yard field goal. He'll kick off to Eric Mold and Tim Tyndale, who are deep, and Mold will field this one at his 10. Mold gets through the wedge and gets out across the 30 to the 32-yard line where the Bills will take over. Todd Collins will lead his offensive attack as the Bills try to respond and answer to the Vikings in a moment. Back at Rich Stadium in Buffalo, you've seen the man. You're looking at a guy who's led this team in receiving 6 straight seasons, and here's how he was shaken up.
He jukes Schultz. He's got Marlon Kerner right here, punches him right there in the face. But look right there. You can see Marlon Kerner's knee someplace that he wouldn't want it to be. Yeah, that kind of stings. And I don't know, well, I wouldn't say that that's intentional, but I will say that Marlon Kerner has a mean streak that matches Carter's mean streak. As you can see, the Carter started it by punching him right in the side of the jaw.
Bills come out in a 3 wide receiver set. Thurman Thomas, the only Bill to touch the football so far besides quarterback Todd Collins, and there's Thurman Thomas once again, this time a very short gain, if any. He is brought down by Ed McDaniel. McDaniel coming off a knee injury that held him out of all of 1996, and he is glad to be back.
You know something, last season the Vikings were last in the NFL in yards per carry allowed without Ed McDaniel. The 2 years before, 94 and 95, Ed McDaniel led the NFL in tackles for a loss, and right there he just got his first tackle for a loss of this season. It won't be the last.
Bills again with 3 wide receivers. 2 of them split out to the near side. Lonnie Johnson is in motion at tight end. And again, it's Thurman Thomas. Cuts it back. Has a big hole. And Thurman Thomas out up close to first down yardage across the 40 to the 43-yard line. Thurman Thomas off to a terrific start running the football this afternoon.
This is exactly what Todd Collins wants. He needs to have this running game go so that he is not called upon to win this game and move this offense. Now, Thurman's going to come through here and cut right back over there. This is vintage Thurman Thomas. Behind there, Todd Collins is watching him break this tackle by Fisk, watching him cut up there, and he's going, thank you, Thurman, because now he doesn't have to throw for a long first down.
Thurman Thomas, one of only 2 guys to have 1,000 yards rushing for 8 consecutive seasons. Derek Barry Sanders is the other, 8 seasons, I should say. Thurman Thomas, that time running it straight ahead, doesn't get much. Might have crossed the 45-yard line. Thurman Thomas, 10,000-plus career yards, a future Hall of Famer for certain, and everybody says he may have lost a step, but he's still a great runner.
Well, if he loses a step, he's still got 2 or 3 on most people in their best day. Thurman Thomas is tied with Barry Sanders as the only running backs in NFL history to rush for 1,000 yards in 8 consecutive seasons. This guy knows how to run.
Antoine Smith is coming to the game now, and Todd Collins back to throw on 2nd and 8. Hits Antoine Smith out of the backfield, and the big rookie out of Houston gets across midfield and goes down to about the 47 before Jeff Brady, along with Dixon Edwards, brought him down. It's another first down for the Buffalo Bills, as now they're on the mark.
See this play, pass protection. Here's John Randall right here. He's being blocked by Ostrowski and Reuben Brown right there, all pro. Now, Collins dumps the ball off to Antoine Smith. He's going to be fun to watch this game because he is explosive. When he gets into the open field, he has uncommon, unusual speed. He'll make defensive backs miss the cutoff angles because they'll misjudge how fast he's actually moving.
Their leading rusher in the preseason, Antoine Smith, big hole, turning on the feet inside the 45, into a foot race, and finally taken out of bounds at about the 20-yard line by Orlando Thomas. So Antoine Smith finds a lot of room, and the Buffalo Bills on the march.
Eric, Orlando Thomas on that play misjudged his angle. You're going to see a run right up the gut. You're going to see Orlando Thomas come in from this angle down over here, and he's going to misjudge what the cutoff angle is. Here he comes. Whoops, whoops. Oh, no, now I'm behind him. Now, defensive backs don't get caught that way. They're paid to make sure, especially safeties, that those running backs don't get behind him like that. That's the unusual speed.
Dallas, this is Antoine Smith, who goes up the middle for about 2 yards. Right now for McDonald's game break. Let's go back to JB at the Fox Television Center.
Thanks for passing the steak, Eric Clemens. Take a look. Jim Fawcett wanted to install a short, quick passing game. He does. Dave Brown finds Charles Way. It turns out to be a 62-yard pass completion, longest in Brown's career, resulted in a quarterback draw for score. Giants on top by 7. Eric Clemens and Trevor Maddich.
All right, JB, Dave Brown, a quarterback who had generated no big plays for the Giants during the preseason, but he gets one right there. Meanwhile, Todd Collins trying to come up with one. Goes in zone, wide open is his man. In the end zone, he has Jay Remersma for a touchdown, Buffalo. Jay Remersma found himself wide open in the near corner, and the Bills strike right back with a touchdown.
Once again, great pass protection. Todd Collins, when he has protection, has superb mechanics. Very good passer, very accurate when he's not being rattled. And Remersma cannot be that open because he beat somebody. He was that open because somebody busted the coverage. So on one sideline, you've got Dan Henning and the Buffalo Bills offensive staff proud of their young quarterback. On the other side, you've got defensive coordinators upset about a missed protection.
So the old Michigan teammates hook up for a touchdown to put Buffalo ahead. Collins hooking up with Jay Remersma, 19-yard scoring strike as the Bills respond and go ahead of the Vikings 7-3. Early in the second quarter, Steve Christie teeing it up from his own 30. Back deep are Tate and Harold Murrow. And this is Murrow. Murrow out across the 25, struggling out to about the 28-yard line where the Vikings will take over. Jay Remersma, hero right now, along with his teammate Todd Collins. The Vikings take over when we return. Back at Rich Stadium, where the Bills have taken the lead 7-3 over the Vikings, thanks in large part to a converted quarterback, Jay Remersma.
Remersma is going to sneak up this way and then come into the corner. Robert Griffith is supposed to cover that corner over there, number 24 from Minnesota. But you can see the zone lets Remersma go, and coming into your screen now is Robert Griffith right there. He's right there, and look at Griffith's head as it comes through. It looks up in the air. He knows that he's made a mistake.
Brad Johnson striking, looking deep down the far side, but he throws that one way too far downfield as his receiver broke off the pattern on the near side, and it appears Johnson thought he was going to keep going on the fly pattern. He was looking for Jake Reed. Remersma had just one catch all last year, and now he has his first NFL touchdown on his first catch this season. Again, he was a converted quarterback in Michigan because of the guy who threw him the ball. Todd Collins, they move him to tight end.
You think there's any conspiracy there going back to the old alma mater?
Well, they'd like plenty more of those types of tight end. Meanwhile, second down and 10 for Brad Johnson, who has a 3-receiver set. And now Johnson going down in the seam to Chris Carter, and Carter has first down yardage and plenty more out up near the 50-yard line before Kurt Schultz brought him down along with Henry Jones, but a pickup of about 18 and first down yardage for the Vikings.
Carter's in the slot on a good matchup. Here's Carter working on the strong safety Jones. And you can see that Carter just gets by him. Now, strong safeties are not as good at covering wide receivers. What the Vikings want to do is get Carter in the slot on safeties and on nickel corners instead of the regular starting cornerbacks. That gives Carter and the Vikings a big physical mismatch.
First down now, and Brad Johnson to put it upstairs again. Now he keeps it, and we have a flag down as well. Johnson trying to get it back to the line of scrimmage. Bruce Smith and Phil Hansen bring him down, and I believe Bruce Smith is down there holding a leg right at the Bills' helmet at around midfield. Now he's being helped up by T.
Two of the offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
Jeff Christie, the culprit on the holding penalty that time.
As Bruce Smith is limping off the field right now, you've got the center right here, Jeff Christie. He's the one that's going to be holding. He's working on Ted Washington. Washington is able to get through the half of Jeff Christie, so Jeff Christie's arm hooked his neck, and he just went ahead and dragged him to the ground like a rodeo guy dragging down a bull in a rodeo.
Tough to drag down a guy 325 plus, but he did it and picked up the holding first and 20. Brad Johnson looking over the middle to his tight end. Hunter Goodwin just off his fingertips and incomplete. Goodwin open in the seam. He was being covered by Henry Jones.
When I talked about the differences in mixing up pass protection, One thing that they want to do is fan out guards to block Bruce Smith or block Bryce Pop. Fanning out meaning they'll take a guard from his inside position, pull him out to the corner and block whoever's coming off the corner. Now, Bruce Smith comes out there from time to time, and they'll do that. Bryce Pop did it last time. If you look at Todd Stussy, wondering if Bruce Smith will be slowed down or if he is just madder than he was before.
Bruce Smith back into the game and armed with a new contract. We'll talk about that in a moment as Brad Johnson, trying to get out of trouble, dumps it off to Leroy Horde. Horde has some room near side. Horde still inbound. Horde inside the 40. Down to close to the 30-yard line. First down yardage. Big play for the Vikings. Chris Spielman finally brought down Leroy Horde.
You know something, for the last 3 seconds or so that Johnson held the ball, he had Bryce Pop within just a few feet of him. He had great poise to get that to Leroy Horde. Leroy Horde is one of the strongest runners in the NFL once he's got that ball. Now look at Bryce Pop come in and beat Horde right there. But then Horde knows enough that, hey, I better help my quarterback. If I didn't block and protect him, I better get out and provide an outlet so he doesn't get drilled by the guy I was supposed to block.
Now to give it to Robert Smith, and Smith has some room off the right side, but holding on for dear life out there was Ted Washington, or Smith had lots of room in front of him. Instead, he picks up close to 5 yards.
Here's Washington right here. He's just going to beat the center, Christie, on this one and come over and grab him by the ankle. Now, I'll tell you what, if Robert Smith's shoe was laced any looser and it could have come off, he'd have been in the end zone on that one. He was that close.
We talked before about Bruce Smith. He came back to the field after hurting a leg. He's armed with a new contract extension, longly awaited for a couple of years. 6 years, $28.2 million, $6.2 million signing bonus. Brad Johnson getting out of trouble again. Bruce Smith coming up from the backside to record the sack, number 1 of the year for the new multi-millionaire.
Bruce Smith last season had 13.5 sacks, 54 quarterback pressures. There's Bruce right there working against Todd Stussy. And again, he's just going to work around and around and around, and he's relentless. He just doesn't stop. Now, Stussy thinks he's got him blocked. And he did have him blocked. This is one of those sacks that you've got to give credit to the coverage. You've got to give credit to the other guys coming underneath. And Bruce Smith knows that. He's lost sacks because other guys have gotten sacks where he's flushed the quarterback out. This time, Bruce was the beneficiary.
6 defensive backs in for the Bills on 3rd and long. Quick strike. Chris Carter again. Wide open in the seam, and Carter gets inside the 20 down to the 15-yard line, and he has been absolutely killing the Buffalo Bills so far here in the first half. Manny Martin brought him down.
Carter working on Manny Martin. And they knew that they had a mismatch with Chris Carter in there. This is kind of what they wanted to do, and until Buffalo stops them with these quick slants between the zones, Minnesota will keep running them, and there's no reason to stop.
Carter already unofficially 6 catches for 80 yards so far. Robert Smith, big hole up the middle. Smith spinning toward the goal line, but he's taken down by Henry Jones. Couldn't quite spin away from him at the 5. So pick up there of close to 10 yards on that play. It'll be 2nd and 1 for the Vikings.
The Vikings' huge offensive line is dominating the middle of this line now, which is unexpected. Right here, you've got Ted Washington. Ted Washington this time gets blocked one-on-one by Ted Christie. Actually gets pushed back about 2 yards. You know, and that give and take in there right now, Minnesota is developing an edge over Buffalo.
On 2nd down and short from, they call it the 6-yard line, Brad Johnson looking end zone. Has Chris Carter, touchdown, as he just used his body to shield off Jeff Burris. And that's what makes Chris Carter one of the great receivers in the game today. Touchdown, Minnesota. The Vikings answer back and go back ahead.
Chris Carter told us yesterday that they want to get him matched up on those smaller cornerbacks so that he can use his body to screen things off. Now, it's excellent protection, excellent throw, and all Chris Carter does was get in between Burris and the ball. That's a size advantage and an experience advantage by Chris Carter.
He has had an afternoon so far. 7 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown for Chris Carter. And the extra point by Greg Davis is straight through. And the Vikings answer back. They go ahead on an impressive march thanks to that guy, Chris Carter's 6-yard touchdown pass. They'll kick it to Buffalo when we return. Dale back deep to receive, along with Eric Moles for the Bills, as the Vikings go back up top 10-7 here in the 2nd quarter. Greg Davis's kick will come down to Moles. Full field it at his 5. And Moles trying to step over prone bodies there and gets out to about the 24-yard line where the Bills will take over and try to answer back. We got a good one going at Rich Stadium. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Coordinator Brian Billick told us yesterday that he wants to put his athletes in a position to win with their athletic ability. This isn't a tricky call. All this is a great athletic move by Chris Carter beating the defensive back Burris. But you can see right here, look at Randall McDaniel drill Bruce Smith. Now that is about as blocked as Bruce Smith has been in his life.
Bruce might think it was a takedown. Looked like Randall might have had a little hold of him, but hey, got away with it. It's a touchdown for the Vikings. And now Todd Collins coming this way to Andre Reed for first down yardage. And he's brought down by Dwayne Washington out across the 40 to the 41-yard line.
12-yard gain.
Chris Carter's fifth consecutive game with a touchdown reception. That's a new team record. That's a 77th career touchdown catch. He's happy about it, too. I think somebody might have told him that.
Check that on the yardage on the completion to Andre Reed. That was out to the 37-yard line. So the Bills take over their 1st and 10. They have the dual tight end alignment. And Thurman Thomas gets the handoff. Thomas disappears under a pile of bigger bodies out there and picks up maybe 2 yards on the play.
Dan Henning is staying the form. He's trying to keep that running game established. He's trying to wear down that smaller Minnesota offensive front. But he will take a bigger play. Now, that last play to Andre Reed, long game, was the longest pass that Collins has thrown today. It works because they haven't done it yet today. It's all been runs and little dink passes for the young quarterback. All of a sudden, they come up with a double-digit game.
Here you have a look at Dan Henning. Of course, has had a lot of head coaching experience in his tenure in the NFL. Now he's the offensive coordinator here at Buffalo, and Collins looking deeper downfield this time. There's a man wide open, and Quinn Early is absolutely drilled by Robert Griffith, and he's not moving much.
Now, this Minnesota secondary is one of the trash-talkingest secondaries in the NFL, and it's one of the most heavy hitting. And they take the light in hitting secondaries in the NFL. Now, from the end zone, you'll see great protection again. You'll see Early coming across the middle, and Robert Griffith just lines him up, and just as Early's feet hit the ground, Robert Griffith arrives there. There's nothing that the receiver can do in a situation like that. But you know something? Give the DBs their due, they get this stuff. But what we're going to find is plays like Chris Carter's down on Marlon Kerner when he kind of got injured earlier in the first quarter, where he hit Marlon Kerner across the jaw. They do that to make up for this kind of a thing. Now, it looks like there might be a little, well, it looks like he might have the wind knocked out of him. He doesn't look that bad. But this is a very, very happy guy right now. DBs are macho little guys. They got more machismo and more testosterone per pound than any other professional athlete you'll ever find any place. And as long as that guy laying on the field there is going to live eventually, then those DBs are going to be talking about this all week long.
Robert Griffith had 103 tackles to lead the Viking defensive options as well. And let's hope the wind is all he knocked out of Quinn Early. If you don't think there's hard hitting in the NFL, listen to what this one sounded like.
You know what was interesting to me on that soundbite was the crowd. The roar came up, and they were like, yes, a big hit, and then everybody collectively, oh my goodness, that guy might be hurt. You know, that was interesting. You didn't have to watch that play to know what happened on that. Now, Early is walking under his own power. He got the wind knocked out of him. He will look up Griffith. Let's watch for that. On a running play, let's see if Early doesn't find Griffith way far away from that play for payback.
All right, lucky he didn't lose more than just wind, maybe a few teeth on a hit like that, but fortunately for him, he walks off under his own power, and Todd Collins put it upstairs again, looking, still looking. Now he's in trouble. Now he still gets it away and has his tight end. And it's Riemersma again, and Riemersma gets out to the 45-yard line. He'll be about 2.5 to 3 yards short of a first down. Jeff Brady took him down. Corey Fuller was there as well.
Derek Alexander with the pressure on Collins is going to come right around this side. But actually, that pressure happens because, again, there's excellent coverage downfield by that trash-talking, big-hitting Minnesota secondary. Actually, Collins, boy, when you're falling backwards like this, you can see there's nowhere there, nowhere there. He finally throws back to the outlet.
Chris Moore get this one away, hangs it short, and it'll get a favorable bounce for the Vikings, that is, as it bounced straight out of bounds to the near side and gets out at about the 25-yard line. So the Vikings will take over again, and they need some blocking from this guy, Todd Stussy, who talked to us yesterday about the unenviable task of going up against the all-world end, Bruce Smith.
Bruce is a heck of a player. I mean, he's able to capitalize on your mistakes. If you do one little thing wrong, he'll make the most out of it. If you overset in a second, he'll be right underneath you getting a sack. If you get the wrong hand placement, move a little bit too far inside, he'll come outside, squat your hand down, and you'll give up a sack again. I mean, he's the one kind of guy that if you make just even the little mistakes, he'll make the most out of it.
Robert Smith on the handoff goes across Stussy's side. He's taken down by Chris Spielman and Damian Covington, but picks up close to 3 or 4 yards on the play. So a good running play for Stussy and that offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings.
That's another thing Stussy told us yesterday. He said that Bruce Smith is more dangerous away from a running play than at the point of attack. Stussy would rather block Smith one-on-one with the ball coming right at him than have to block him away because he's so good at pursuit.
Two wide receivers split to the near side, and again the give to Robert Smith. Big hole up the middle, and Smith gets out close to the 38-yard line. First down yardage for Minnesota once again. Spielman brought him down on that play and went early, still catching his breath there on the sideline.
Well, you can see the trainer feeling his ribs right there. That means he may have cracked a rib, he may have pulled a rib muscle, or he may have sprained something in there. When you get rib damage as a receiver, that's very painful because then it makes it more difficult for you to go up high over the middle, catch a ball, and take another hit.
Robert Smith again. This time he's met right at the line of scrimmage. Big Ted Washington was there. Spielman was there along with Damian Covington. And the Bills will respond. They were one of the better defensive teams in the National Football League last year.
1 yard gain, second down 9.
Now here's Smith against Stussy right here. He tries to cut Bruce Smith. Now if you want to infuriate Bruce Smith, you do that. I did this against Bruce Smith one time, the first time I ever played left tackle. After the game, he found me in the parking lot to tell me about it. And I looked at him and said, Bruce, I've never played left tackle before. What would you have done in this situation? He looked at me like, well, you got a good point.
Just don't do it again. Off the play fake, Brad Johnson has a man over the middle, but an excellent defensive play in there in the secondary to knock it away. It was Thomas Smith on the coverage.
Here we have an ISO of Reed.
Thomas Smith on the coverage for the Bills.
Coming across, working against Jones. And once again, they count on Henry Jones, number 20, right there, to cover one-on-one, to cover wide receivers as a safety. Now, this is Thomas Smith. Thomas Smith is another guy that counts on Jones because Jones will help pick up when he's got crossing routes across the middle. That time it was a good combination between the two of them.
6 defensive backs in for Buffalo. Brad Johnson gets it away, but he was under some heavy pressure from Phil Hansen. Had to throw it quicker than he wanted to, and it falls harmlessly incomplete. The Vikings will have to punt, and we're at the 2-minute warning as well. So Brad Johnson fails on offense this time around. The Bills get the ball back when we return. Yankees halftime report. JB and Terry will bring you scores and highlights from around the National Football League. And our brand new Fox Sports ticker will have up-to-the-minute stats. Also, Fox News will have an update on the Princess Diana tragedy. That's all coming up on the Doctor's halftime report. And earlier, Quinn Early appeared to have the wind knocked out of him. He left the field just for precautionary measures. He is expected to return. Perhaps he has a bruise around the rib or sternum area, but we'll get updates as they come to us. Punt from Randall Cunningham, a good one. Steve Tasker taking it at his 12. Tasker dancing out across the 20 before he's brought down. Torian Gray, one of those who brought him down, along with Murrow as well. And the Bills will take over 1st and 10 on their own 24-yard line, 23-yard line. Check that. Steve Tasker, special teams guy, perennial Pro Bowler.
Now, what the Bills offensively have been trying to do this game was run a conservative game plan, running, throwing short, and they've been able to get some first downs, but they haven't been able to string together enough first down to put many points on the board. And so now what they've got to try to do is go a little farther down the field to try to gain larger chunks of yards rather than just dink it and then have to punt after it.
Collins screen set up on the far side. It's Thurman Thomas across the 30, and Thurman Thomas barrels his way out across the 35 to the 37-yard line. As the Bills in the hurry-up attack, Fernando Smith brought him down.
Complete to Thurman Thomas.
That's good for first down yardage, and Todd Collins getting the signal in his radio headset, and now he's calling the signals from the line of scrimmage. It'll be 1st and 10 Buffalo. And Collins could put it upstairs again, has his man open, and once again, it's Thurman Thomas. And Thomas trying to struggle forward. Now we got a little extracurricular activity going on out there. Ed McDaniel and Thurman Thomas. Now they separate the two.
Now it starts to get a bit nasty. Now, Ed McDaniel has a mean streak to him. So does John Randall. Now, watch this. Thurman Thomas will get hit by two guys, and he's on the ground. He's just trying to get up. But look right there at Corey Fuller. Now, Corey Fuller last year was fined $30,000 for poking Frank Winters of the Green Bay Packers in the eye. Frank Winters blocked him, picked him off a pile, and he walked up to him after that play, long after the play was over, poked him square away in the eye. Now we'll see what happens, because Thurman was down when Griffith picked him up and did what he did.
Timeout, their first 30-second timeout.
So Thurman Thomas is coming to the near side to take a little breather, cool off just a little bit. He was definitely down on the play, and Viking defenders get a little aggressive there and give him a little rough stuff. He has been hurting them so far in the game on the ground and receiving.
They gave him the business, didn't they?
Marv Levy giving him the business, along with Bruce Smith down there. They think some more repercussions should be suffered by the Vikings instead of leaving a second down and short.
No, that's the kind of play that's like punching a guy that you would get ejected for. Maybe even worse, because when you punch a guy, he's got pads on. When he is trying to get up after tackle, you pick him up, lift his leg up into the air. In that awkward position, you could injure a guy that way. That merits an ejection.
Collins once again to put it upstairs, comes over to the near side, has his man. He hits Antoine Smith, brought down by Dwayne Washington, but another first down for the Bills as they cross midfield and get it to the Viking 48-yard line, inside a minute to play.
This is what Jim Kelly used to be so good at, this hurry-up offense. What you see in this 2 minute used to be Jim Kelly's regular offense. Same thing now that he's running in the 2 minute warning.
Collins has good protection going deep down the field, has Andre Reed, who appeared to have gotten behind both the defenders, but he overthrew it just a little bit, and boy, did he take a shot. And you see him wincing in pain as he's helped up by his teammates, Robert Griffith and Corey Fuller, on the double coverage, but it appeared Reed might have outrun it.
From the end zone, the first thing to see is the pass protection. He is going to get just absolutely drilled here. Boom! In an awkward position. Now, that ball would have been tough to complete. With double coverage there, would have had to have been thrown perfectly. That wasn't a bad throw. It's just that the defense did a good job defending that play. Todd Collins, though, knows that if he gets hit that way many more times, he's not going to be able to throw the ball that far.
On second down and 10, Collins again looking to the far side, and that one thrown low and away. His intended receiver was Lonnie Johnson that time, and it's incomplete. Corey Fuller was there on the coverage.
That was a tentative throw. This is one thing that the Vikings defensive people told us yesterday, that if they get to Collins, if they hit him hard, he doesn't make as good decisions. His superb mechanics in the pocket break down. Todd Collins needs to prove as a young quarterback that he can be under stress, under duress, under blitz, and still make good decisions and execute them with good throws. That throw was a tentative throw. That's why it was low and was slow. Todd Collins needs to do better than that when that happens, following up from being drilled on a pass rush.
Bills today so far 0 for 2 on third down situations. Antoine Smith in motion, and we have a flag down as here's the play clock.
Delay of game on the offense. 5 yards. It's still third down.
The play clock ran out, much to the chagrin of Marv Levy. So now it'll be third down and 15 to go.
That's just another thing for a young quarterback to have to manage out here. I mean, he's getting hit in the head. He's getting bent over backwards. He's throwing the ball into exotic coverages that Minnesota's throwing at him right now. Combinations of zone and man. And oops, yeah, there's that play clock I'm going to look at too. That's a lot.
And hitting in the booth next to us upstairs here, he's banging the table. Didn't like that. The Collins throwing to the far side, looking for Andre Reed, and down he goes hard once again as John Randall was in his face, so the pass is incomplete, and now the Bills will be forced to punt with Chris Moore.
We asked, here comes Randall right here, John Randall. We asked Ed McDaniel yesterday who the orneriest guy on the Vikings was. He said John Randall. He said when Johnny gets to the quarterback, he will make his presence known. And let me tell you, that little bit of extra was making his presence known to young Todd Collins.
David Palmer back deep to receive this punt. The Vikings and Moore hanging this one up high and short. Palmer calls for the fair catch at the 24-yard line. And we're in the final seconds of the first half here. Looking ahead to next week in the National Football League, Fox NFL Sunday continues. It's a doubleheader. All starts with America's most watched pregame show. Then catch the Vikings battle the Bears, and the Super Bowl champion Packers clash against the Eagles or other regional action. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. So check your local listings. Buddy, you and I will make the trip on up to Detroit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Detroit Lions, an NFC Central battle as the Vikings will take a knee and run out the clock here in the first half. That should be an interesting one as well.
We'll have a visit with Barry Sanders up there. He'll be blocked. Barry will be running with a tight end and a fullback for the first time in his NFL career. We'll see how he responds.
Right now, we're at the break. First half is over, and the Vikings lead the Buffalo Bills 10-7 as they head to the locker room for halftime of this one. We've got a good one so far. Back with more on Fox NFL Sunday in just a moment. Kickoff to open the third quarter comes down, and Eric Voles gets out across the 25 to the 26-yard line, where the Bills will take over first and 10.
Now look,
halftime stats, you can see pretty even contest in terms of rushing the football.
but there's one big difference here, and that is passing yards, well, here versus here. You can see that the Vikings have more passing yardage because they've thrown down the field more. Buffalo now has got to unleash Todd Collins a little bit, let him throw down the field now that he's got the first half under his belt, because they've got to rip off larger chunks of yardage. The difference in this score is the difference in longer passes completed by Minnesota.
On first and 10, Thurman Thomas tries to take it around the far side and doesn't get much. Gets up to about the 28-yard line, call it a gain of 2, maybe 3. Dixon Edwards there on the tackle. I'm sorry, Trevor.
No, that's fine. Thurman will continue to come at Minnesota, though, because one of the biggest advantages that Buffalo has over Minnesota in terms of matchups is their weight of their offensive line. They have got a huge offensive line going against Minnesota's smaller but more mobile defensive line. Thurman knows that and was cut.
Thurman Thomas once again picking his way through holes and gets good yardage out up near first down territory as he gets out across the 35 to the 37. It will be a first down as Thurman Thomas finds some room up the middle.
Now here you find All-Pro Reuben Brown coming around to block on middle linebacker Jeff Brady. Thurman Thomas just lets the play develop. When a guard pulls around like that, it doesn't hit as quick as when everybody just comes off and blocks zone. Thurman, 8 consecutive seasons is 1,000 yards, knows that. Reuben Brown, All-Pro, because he knows that too. Did a good job blocking Jeff Brady.
Three wide receivers set in for the offense of the Bills. Todd Collins looking deep down the far side, has Andre Reed open, and he got it. Reed inside the 20 down to the 19-yard line. First down, Buffalo. Corey Fuller was on the coverage.
This is exactly what we were talking about a minute ago, Eric, that the difference in this game and the score right now is that Buffalo has not yet unleashed Collins down the field. Now there's Reed. He's working on Corey Fuller. Corey Fuller gets faked out by that out and up. The reason is they haven't run the up yet. He knows that they're trying to protect Collins. The staff, Dan Henning, is trying to protect Collins by throwing short passes. He doesn't expect that long pass. That's why that worked. Corey Fuller was fooled by the scheme on that time, not by the route.
43 yards on the completion from Collins to Andre Reed, and now going on under there. And this is where a lot of stuff goes on, and the ball finally in the possession of the Minnesota Vikings. So a crucial turnover for Thurman Thomas and the Bills. Marv Levy not too happy about it. Minnesota has the football.
Early in the season, offenses aren't quite in sync. Defenses are usually ahead. And so you've got a lower percentage of points scored as we look. And so turnovers will kill you here because it's harder to make. You can see Ed McDaniel came in there and swatted at the ball. That's a veteran linebacker. That's one dimension that Ed McDaniel brings to them that they didn't have last year. He knows when to shoot his gun to make tackles behind the line. He knows when a running back's ball is vulnerable because of the way he's holding it.
So a crucial turnover by the Bills offense gives the Vikings the ball, 1st and 10 on their own 17-yard line. It says, pushes them out of bounds, little or no gain on that play.
Robert Smith is very fast. He's got the speed to be patient. What that means is that he doesn't have to hit the hole immediately now. Now, here's Smith right here. He's going to be patient as he goes through, not running as fast as he can go. Now he turns on the jets. And he can do that because he's got the speed to do it. Now, Buffalo gave him nowhere to run that time. But a lot of times you'll find him delay like that, and then when he turns on the jets to the corner, he'll reach the corner.
Second down, Brad Johnson in some trouble, dumps it off on the near side, and they call it incomplete. The Bills are arguing no receiver was anywhere close to where he threw the ball. They want intentional grounding. Bruce Smith was there in Johnson's face.
Marv Levy not happy about that. Marv Levy, a very genial guy, a nice guy, and when this guy is mad, there's a good reason for it. Now, here's Bruce Smith right here. He's going to be working on Stussy. He turns his shoulders and squirts on through. That's one thing that's so hard to block about Bruce. He only weighs about 265. Look at him turn his shoulders parallel to the sideline. Stussy thinks he's got
6 defensive backs in for the Bills, and here comes Bruce again to sack Brad Johnson. Bruce Smith, his 2nd sack of the game.
Bruce Smith missed all of training camp, basically, for the contract dispute. He comes out now with really first true live action. Here comes Bruce way on the outside. Now, he's going to come right around Todd Stussy. Stussy knows that he can't overset him. He ends up undersetting him. He needed to get out a little bit farther. But that's what's so dangerous about Bruce Smith.
Randall Cunningham will strike this one from his own end zone. And that one is a nice distance on it. He kicks this one over 70 yards downfield. Steve Tasker has it, and we got a flag down. Looks like some illegal blocking activity for the Bills back at about the 25-yard line, but Randall Cunningham returning to his college and boomed him long.
There's a flag down there, but he was All-American punter 2 years in a row at UNLV. He averaged over 45 yards a kick down there. That's an 80-yard kick in the NFL.
During the run back, illegal block from behind. Number 20 of the receiving team. 10 yards, 1st down.
Henry Jones, the culprit there. Give Randall Cunningham a 65-yard punt. Marv Levy still unhappy about what he thought was intentional grounding on Brad Johnson. The Buffalo Bills have the ball back when we come back, and Bruce Smith is one happy camper.
Pizza Hut, home of the news wherever you are, whatever you're doing. American Express helps you do more.
Buffalo Bills have it back, 1st and 10 on their own 20 after the illegal block penalty against Henry Jones. Todd Collins guns it over the middle, has his man Andre Reed across the 35 to the 37-yard line, 1st down yardage.
Bruce Smith sets up tackles like a pitcher. He told us that yesterday. He went outside in the 1st quarter on Stussy, went inside on the 1st quarter. This time he comes back outside. Now, Stussy doesn't know where to set him. Do I set inside? Do I set outside? That wasn't really a very bad set. But the next time, you can bet that Stussy, as Bruce Smith celebrates like only he can, will set a little farther out, look for Bruce to spin back inside. Right now, he's got Todd Stussy where he wants him.
Todd Collins put it upstairs again. This time goes down the seam, has it tied in. Jay Remersma. And Remersma has been a main weapon of his former Michigan teammate Todd Collins today. More 1st down yardage for the Bills. Dixon Edwards in on the stop.
23-yard.
Okay, once again, we've got Todd Collins changing game plan, throwing farther down the field. You're going to see him throw to his right side to Jay Remersma, his former Michigan teammate, in coverage. Now, that was a nice throw by a young quarterback, but this is a change in the style of offensive coordinator Dan Henning from the 1st half to the 2nd half. And I think it was planned.
1st down, Antoine Smith this time doesn't get away from the tackle of Ed McDaniel. Right now, for McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown at the Fox Television Center. JB?
Hey, Eric, talk about answering back after the Rams had just scored. Eric Gulliford for the Saints, 2 yards deep. Look at this fake reverse as he takes it down the field. A 102-yard kickoff return. Yes, indeed, I'd say that's the way to get back into it. Nice run indeed. Let's take it back to Eric Clemens and Trevor Maddich.
Emil and Ditka going head-to-head. Eric Gulliford will be out of breath within 102 yards like that. He certainly wasn't as the Saints try to get back in it. And Todd Collins does the smart thing, gets down immediately as his protection broke down. And on the tackle there, Stalin Kalane, big rookie out of Boston College, 6'6", 288, was there to chase him down.
Well, this is John Randall. He'll be coming in right from over here. He comes on in against Corbin Lucina. As you can see, Lucina on the ground right over there. That's the danger of this guy, Randall. He's so quick. He gets into the gap. He forces you to move. Now, he's not as big as Lucina is, but once Lucina is moving, you can steer him. It's kind of like if you've got a bus that's moving, you can turn that wheel a lot easier than if that bus isn't.
Third down and about 8. Swing pass out of the backfield, and Antoine Smith was looking at the 3 defenders in front of him, could not hold on to it, and I don't think he would have gotten much had he held on to it.
No, the defense was up on him. They would like him to catch that because they know that he won't be able to get a first down on 3rd and 10 catching the ball in a swing pass like that. This, again, is the problem, though, that's creeping up in the second half that the Bills had in the first. They move the ball, but they don't string together enough first downs to get into scoring position.
Chris Moore, two-part formation. He sends this one high and come down. David Palmer lets it down over his head, and a beautiful play by the kicker.
Team's coach has his team work on this every Friday. You can see Turner coming down without a lot of resistance. He's going to catch this ball inside the 5-yard line, just like he's the punt returner. Now what the Corey Fuller and Ed McDaniel need to do is block him so that he can't get down there. They needed to block him. That's a great special teams play if you let it happen.
Now this large crowd at Rich Stadium urging its defense on to make something happen near the Viking goal line. Johnson back in his own end zone, guns it over the middle and has his tight end Hunter Goodwin. Goodwin gets across the 15-yard line. That's first down yardage. Gutsy call by the Vikings. And coming up after September 19th, your Friday nights will never be the same. Who is he? Why is he here? Prepare yourself for his arrival, The Visitor, followed by the season premiere of Millennium, Friday, September 19th, right here on Fox. First down for the Vikings, and the give to Robert Smith, who picks his way through a hole out across the 20-yard line. Another big pickup by the Vikings on first down, this time running the football.
Once again now, he runs right up the middle over the center, Christie. Christie is blocking on that huge nose tackle, Ted Washington. There's been times when Ted Washington has had the best of it. This particular time, Jeff Christie blocking one-on-one, pushed him to the right, and where did Smith run? But right where Washington used to be.
Vikings with both receivers split out to the left side, and a give to Robert Smith again. Smith getting another 3 to 4 yards. And getting up close to the 25-yard line. He's about a yard short of a first down. And Smith, a very effective day today, 12 rushes, 64 yards. Phil Hansen was there to bring him down. And again, Viking coaches told us, Ryan Billick, the offensive coordinator, that they want Robert Smith to carry it about 15 times. And he's very close to that total right now on 3rd and 1, though. Leroy Hoare now into the backfield as the Vikings in a double tight end set. Greg DeLong in motion, and off the quick play fake, they swing it out to DeLong in the flat. DeLong has first down yardage and more as he rolls out across the 35 to close to the 36-yard line. Another first down for Minnesota.
Well, Buffalo's defense was really expecting the run on this play. They were all stacked into the middle. As you can see, he goes back and fakes the run, and that's what makes DeLong open. You can see right here, Henry Jones bit on that run fake, and that's why DeLong was so open. Ordinarily, DeLong would never be able to get so open against Henry Jones. Great play-action fake, and that's one thing that Brian Billick told us he was going to do with Johnson this year more than it's did last year, and that's play-action fake.
Brian Billick right there, calling the plays from the sideline, gives it to Robert Smith. Smith, a big hole, now he's got a chance to turn on the Drayton B. Robert Smith will take it out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Big open opening there. Jeff Burris finally forced him out, but the Vikings are opening some big holes in the Buffalo Bills defense.
24-yard gain.
Great blocks here by Dixon and Stringer. These two guys right here weigh almost 750 pounds between them. And as soon as Robert Smith breaks out into the open, he can turn on the jets and get around the corner, get to the sideline before those defensive backs have a chance to cut him off. As a dimension that they didn't have last year once he was injured.
Smith picks up 24 on that run. This time Leroy Ford tries to go off left tackle. He was met hard by Damian Covington and Phil Hansen in on the stop after a very short game.
Phil Hansen, one of the unsung heroes on this team. He plays in the shadow of Bruce Smith over there. But last year he had over 100 total tackles. Last year he had 8 sacks. And the guy can play much better than most people know because of the other superstars on this Buffalo defense. When you watch film on this guy, all by himself, you see that he would start at almost every team in the NFL. Unsung hero on this defense.
On 2nd and 8, the Vikings with 3 wide receivers into the game for Brad Johnson. David Palmer is in the backfield. And Johnson comes near side, and we have some contact down there. Jake Reed wants a pass interference call, and I think he's going to get one.
Jake Reed has something to say to Jeff Burris as well about it.
Jerry Austin, your referee.
Number 22 of the defense. Automatic first down.
Jeff Burris, the culprit, pass interference. The Vikings will have another first down at the 25.
Jeff Burris at a physical disadvantage with Jake Reed. Jake Reed is taller, he's bigger. But in this case, it looks just like they got their feet tangled up. Okay, now here's Jake Reed. There's Burris right there. And you can see right there, you can see his right arm around Jake Reed's body way after 5 yards. He knew that he was beat. He thought it might be better to risk a penalty than to risk a touchdown on him.
On first down now, Brad Johnson on the play fake. Now he'll roll it to the near side and throw it back. And he was looking that time for Jake Reed once again, but this time Jeff Burris was close enough and did not pick up a pass interference penalty, so call it an incompletion.
Buffalo's defense is really stiffened up down here. Nothing much is working for Minnesota. They've tried a couple of different kinds of passes. It's not going. Johnson's mobility, though, buys him some extra time because you're going to see Bryce Pop come right around the corner there, and because he's able to have extra mobility, he also puts himself in a position to get drilled. But that's another thing Brian Diller told us he was going to do, use that mobility of Brad Johnson.
Chris Carter in motion to the far side. The give to Robert Smith, who gets nothing at all. He's met first back there by Big Ted Washington. Damian Covington also coming to clean up along with Bryce Pop.
And in the game comes a guy named Jim Jeffcoat. Jim Jeffcoat has been playing for 15 years. He comes in on their nickel package. He can't play against the run much anymore, but the guy is still one of the very top sack leaders in NFL history. You know, this guy, he's old enough now, they don't even send reporters to interview him anymore. They send archaeologists, which actually is a compliment. That means he's been around for a long time.
He did pick up 5 sacks last year. The Bills respond with 6 defensive backs as Palmer goes in motion. Another quick hitting play that damaged Buffalo in the first half. Did not work that time. I think Johnson threw it a little bit too quickly for Chris Carter to react to.
Jim Jeffcoat just kind of bangs and turns around and goes. He knows the quarterback's on a quick drop on this one from the second step, so he realizes there's not too much to do once he goes ahead and gets that initial hit on David Dixon. So he knows when he needs to throw his body around, and when he doesn't, that's how he's lasting so long.
Greg Davis, 43-yard field goal, inconsistent from this distance last year. Only 2 for 5 before being released at Arizona. This time he'll try to add to the Vikings' lead. And he does with plenty of room to spare, so Dennis Green and company pretty happy. The drive stalls, but Davis adds a field goal, and the Vikings now lead it 13-7. Greg Davis connecting on a 43-yard field goal. Minnesota now up by 6, and they'll kick it deep to Eric Moles, who'll field this one at his 4. Moles stays along the far sideline, gets it out up close to the 20-yard line at about the 18, where the Bills will take over. Buffalo trying to get another answer for the Vikings score when we return. Sunday afternoon football here in Buffalo, hoping their Bills get off to a good start against the Vikings. Right now, Buffalo trailing it by 6. Minnesota leads at 13-7. And the Bills and Todd Collins come out with 3 wide receivers set in the game. Lonnie Johnson now in motion on 1st and 10 at the 18. Collins on the play fake, looking deep near side, and has his man Andre Reed up at about the 35-yard line. First down, Buffalo. And speaking of couples enjoying, this takes it a little bit to the extreme, Trevor.
Well, you know, I think right here you got the best man blitzing the bride. I don't know if the groom wants to go over there and throw a chop block on him like Stussy did on Bruce Smith, but congratulations to this happy couple.
Al and Karen Tomasello of Tonawanda, New York, married, and obviously they're football fans. Out here yesterday, a bright and sunny day, and great day for a kiss, and a great day for tackle, and a great day for the kids, and everything else. I think Al and Karen might wait on all those kids. On 1st down, again, Todd Collins looks and completes the pass out of the backfield to Thurman Thomas. And Thurman Thomas gets up across the 40-yard line, picked up about 7 yards on the play. So another good start on 1st down for the Buffalo Bills.
And this is just outstanding protection. Todd Collins had all day to throw the ball, and this is where he's at his best. One thing that Marv Levy told us yesterday is that Todd Collins, when he has time to throw, is as mechanically superb, that was his word, a young quarterback as he's ever seen.
Collins on the delay. Thurman Thomas doesn't have much room that time. Dixon Edwards was one of the first in there to disrupt that play. So Thurman getting very little yardage on that one. That'll leave the Bills in a 3rd and call it a long 2.
A lot of different options here. Thurman Thomas, though, is likely to get the ball, whether it's a handoff, a screen pass, or a swing pass. Now, there's Dan Henning, the offensive coordinator of the Bills. He has created an offense here that's allowed Todd Collins to actually be very successful here today.
On 3rd down, closer to 3 yards to go. Double tight end set, and the give goes to Thurman Thomas, but we have flags on the play. And the Vikings indicating the penalty will go against the Buffalo Bills.
Ball start. Number 79, prior to the snap. 5 yards. It's still 3rd down.
The All-Pro Reuben Brown.
All-Pro Reuben Brown, and Marv Levy not happy about that, but you know that's here's Reuben Brown right here. He's just going to start a little early to get down there. You can do that. Now they're in a situation though where you can expect a blitz from Minnesota.
On 3rd down and 7. Pro Bowl guard Reuben Brown, the culprit there on the motion penalty. And Collins looking downfield, has Andre Reed open across the middle, and Reed gets into Viking territory at the 42-yard line to keep the drive alive. 1st down, Buffalo.
We start out with, once again, good pass protection, but there are 2 kinds of routes that have been open for the wide receivers of the Buffalo Bills. This is one of them, a crossing route, where you run right across the field, and Todd Collins told us that he was looking for this kind of route. Now, the second is a comeback. Now, this is the crossing route. You've seen them catch comeback routes as well, and we'll highlight that when we come up to more of them. But those 2 routes, the Vikings have not stopped you.
Andre Reed in effective day catching the ball. Here's Eric Moles on the reverse. Has room inside. Moles inside the 20, and Moles taken out of bounds by Orlando Thomas. We saw them work on the reverse in practice some this week, and they unleashed it for a big game.
The Bills starting to rip off plays with big yardage, 10, 15, 20 yards a pop. This play works only when the defense cheats. What Dan Henning must have seen is that the Minnesota defense is over pursuing, and Dixon Edwards is right there. He's supposed to watch out on that backside, make sure that reverse doesn't come. He's been so excited about the success that he's had on stuffing the running game from the backside that he forgot, oops, they might run a reverse. Dan Henning made a great call on that play to keep him on it.
27 yards on the run by Moles, and Collins dumps it out of the backfield to Thurman Thomas, and Thomas gets down to the 10-yard line. Pick up a 4 on that play before Dwayne Washington brings him down.
Well, look at Todd Collins right here. He's going to come around and just put the wood on the Griffith right there. He kind of gives help to his big offensive lineman there, but sometimes coaches love it when their quarterback drills somebody. Most of the time, they want him to stay the heck away. You get a guy like Jim McMahon, thought he was a linebacker, had some good highlights like that, but he'd be limping around, just like Thomas is limping around right now.
And that's the end of the third quarter. With the score, the Minnesota Vikings 13, the Buffalo Bills 7. Fox NFL Sunday continues after these messages from your local Fox station.
That was actually complete falling backwards in the first quarter. Now he's got the pocket collapsing around him, and he'll still try to make this throw. Now, when that happens, the ball pops up in the air. That can be an interception, and the Bills cannot afford another turnover down in the red zone. They need to convert on this.
This drive, 7 plays, 69 yards so far, but the Bills need a big play to keep it alive here. Third down and 6 on the Viking 10. Collins looking near side, and he threw that one off balance. Lonnie Johnson could not get a handle on it, so the Bills apparently will have to settle for another Steve Christie field goal attempt.
This is just outstanding coverage all the way around. It was good protection as well. You'll see the middle of the pocket here puts a little bit of pressure on him, but not enough to worry him. There's just nowhere to throw the ball. He finally just basically throws it away out there, knowing that it'd be better to get a field goal than to possibly have an interception and lose all points.
Steve Christie, chip shot for him is right through, so the Buffalo Bills do answer, not the way they'd like to, but they get 3 out of it to pull to within 3 of the Minnesota Vikings here early in the fourth quarter. Back at Rich Stadium, University of Akron Zips, marching band waving hello to all the folks watching this one. As Steve Christie tees it up to kick it off, back deep to receive. Robert Tate and Harold Murrow, and Tate deep into his own end zone. Makes the decision to keep it right there as the Vikings will take over 1st and 10 on their own 20-yard line, leading it 13-10. The Vikings take over and try to answer back against the Bills when we return.
Reminds you that anything can happen at Miller Time. By Oracle, the company that's enabling the information age through network computing. By the owners, managers, and crew who proudly call the McDonald's in your neighborhood my McDonald's. And by Starter, professional sportswear worn by more teams in more major sports than any other brand.
Fans here enjoy themselves at Rich Stadium. The Buffalo Bills faithful a little bit revved up. The Bills have gotten back to within 3. Now we'll see if the Vikings can answer on 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. Eric Clemens and Trevor Mannix with you to bring you the fourth quarter. Johnson in some trouble. Now he throws it back across and picks up a yard or two as he found Charles Evans out of the backfield. Now, if you haven't heard about the visitor by now, well, you must be from another planet. The world will be watching on Friday, September 19th at 8/7 Central when the visitor arrives on Fox. So prepare yourself for the visitor. That promises to be an excellent show here on Fox beginning September 19th.
The creators of this show created the movie Independence Day. Expect it to be a blockbuster of a TV show. There's a lot of things going on.
2nd down and 8. And the give to Robert Smith, who cuts it back to a big hole across the 30. And Smith is in a foot race. I don't think anybody's going to catch him. Touchdown, Minnesota Vikings. Robert Smith turns on the speed. And the fans here at Rich Stadium in a bit of a state of shock because nobody came close to touching it.
Well, the Vikings had the right play on at the right time. 2nd and long, Buffalo expected a pass. So over here you've got Bruce Smith, you've got Bryce Popp out here. Both of them are pass rushers. Bryce Popp came up the field. Bruce Smith started his pass rush. Todd Stussy got right into him and drove him down inside. There's nobody else down there. Credit great play calling there. Credit great execution. Now here's Stussy on Smith. As you can see, Bryce Popp was expecting to rush the quarterback. He was surprised when he saw Smith come underneath for that football.
Robert Smith, the 78-yard run, the longest of his career. The extra point is good, and the Minnesota Vikings strike like lightning with some lightning speed in Robert Smith.
Playing well, but King, a huge play that may end up being the backbreaker for this Buffalo Bills team.
We wanted him to carry it 15 times. He has for those 166 yards, and Eric Moles takes the kickoff for Buffalo, gets it right up to the 20-yard line, but there's a flag on the play. Thrown at about the 30. Harold Morrow in on the tackle for the Vikings. And the crowd here at Rich Stadium still in a bit of shock. It's just unusual to see a running back break through the line of scrimmage and never be touched, as we have holding the indication.
Number 58 during the return. 10 yards. It'll be first down.
You know something, Bruce DeHaven and the Bills special teams were ranked #1 in the NFL last year. The Vikings struggled last year, but Gary Zahner, the Vikings special teams coach, is one of the best special teams coaches in the NFL. He went out and got extra speed. They drafted linebacker Dwayne Rudd, who runs a 4.58. They got Greg Briggs, linebacker, runs a 4.45. Harold Moore runs a 4.5. Added a lot of speed. The special teams of Minnesota is up to the task today against the special teams of Buffalo.
The holding against Marlowe Perry pushes the Bills back to the 11. Collins comes out firing. It's Jay Reamersma's favorite target today. Now time for McDonald's game break. Let's return to James Brown at the Fox Television Center. JB.
Eric and Trevor, what a day for Lawrence Phillips. Take a look. His second run for the touchdown today. Second TD Gallup. That one 25 yards. Boy, the Rams looking nice. 28-17 in the third over New Orleans. Back to E. Clemens and Trevor Maddich.
All right, JB, and big yardage picked up there for Thurman Thomas, who's had an all-around solid day for the Buffalo Bills. Orlando Thomas brought him down, but not before he picked up first down yardage for Buffalo.
This is good game plan discipline by Dan Henning, sticking with the same kinds of plays that had success earlier.
Buffalo going with a hurry-up call that time, and Collins dumps it out of the backfield. Thurman Thomas once again, but he's met right at the line of scrimmage. Ed McDaniel was there along with Dwayne Washington, I should say.
I was going to say the difference, though, is they're running the same plays, but now they're doing it without the huddle. This is sort of a modified version of Jim Kelly's K-gun. It hasn't been working well enough to string together first down. Huddling up, they're going to try the other way.
Blitz is on. Ed McDaniel coming from inside, and that one almost caught by Lonnie Johnson, then almost intercepted by Dixon Edwards, but getting some heavy pressure on was Fernando Smith, it looked like, and Griffith coming on a blitz, maybe Dixon Edwards as well.
Well, this is a veteran defense that knows what to do and how to adjust. The purpose of the K-gun, the purpose of going with no huddle, is so that the defense won't be able to adjust. Here comes Ed McDaniel. Now, ordinarily, he wouldn't run that blitz against this kind of an offense with no huddle. There's no time to call it. But he's a veteran. He knows what's expected, knows what his role is, and he comes through and makes a huge play.
Two tight end formation on 3rd and 9 for Buffalo, both of them to the near side. Collins looking downfield again, looks far side, has his man, and it's Antoine Smith, and Smith gets out to the 40-yard line for first down yardage. Key third down conversion for Todd Collins in Buffalo.
Good protection from that offensive line on the right side. We've had the rotation at right guard like we expected. Right now, Ostrowski's in the game. Corbin Messina has played. But I believe Corey Lucci at right tackle has played the whole game at right tackle, has been doing an outstanding job over there.
Bills at first and 10 on their own 40-yard line. Let's check out the scoreboard. Some of the rest of the day's action.
You know, the thought process right now upstairs with Dan Henning and the brain trust of the Buffalo Bills is not to panic. There are 11 minutes to go in this game. They're down 2 scores, 10 points, but there's no reason to break out of the game plan of medium passes, short passes, and runs and air it out. They don't need to do that. Now here he is calling in the plays to Alex Van Pelt. Alex Van Pelt talks to the headset down to Todd Collins because he's the quarterback and he relates to him better.
Collins fumbles the exchange from center, and it's a loose ball. Vikings have it. Jeff Brady could go all the way. He does. Touchdown, Minnesota. Another costly turnover for the Buffalo Bills.
Boy, that's how quick a game can get away from you. This thing was just a slugfest, and all of a sudden 2 plays, bam. And now all of a sudden the Vikings have broken it open. And with the Bills' offense playing the way it's been playing, they're not going to be able to strike back as easily as they did before. It's hard to see exactly what happened on that, whether Collins pulled out or whether Dusty Ziegler, the center, shorted the ball. Maybe he looked at it from a different angle. We could see that. But this is huge. Now, we've talked about this with a Minnesota Vikings staff member who's their director of research and development. His name is Mike Ayers. And I'd like to get back on that a little bit as we come through to talk about the meaning of these big plays, the statistical value.
And the extra point by Greg Davis is true, and suddenly we have a 17-point margin because of 2 big plays, big strikes by the Vikings. Smith, a big touchdown run. Brady, a fumble recovery, up 30 yards. Coming down to Eric Mould at his 1. Mould gets gets out across the 20 up close to the 25-yard line where he's taken down, and Jeff Brady and the Viking defense will come back onto the field again.
Todd Collins has an awful lot to think about, and it's like in the first half at the end, he forgot that he had to manage the clock, got a delay of game penalty. Here, he may have just forgotten that he shouldn't pull out, that he's got to take that snap before he does everything else. There's so much to think about here, and sometimes the most basic fundamentals that you take for granted are the ones that you let go. Now, Jeff Brady is ecstatic about this. Last year was his first year as a starter. This year, first NFL touchdown.
Three wide receivers in for the Bills in the delay. Antoine Smith, big hole. Yes, 8 or 9 on the play up to close to the 35-yard line. So it'll set up second and short for Buffalo, which needs to score quickly as we approach the 10.5-minute mark remaining in this game.
They'll go into the K-gun, and now the offensive philosophy does need to change. They do need to have plays in there to take advantage of long, gouging plays.
Green set up to Smith. He has first down yardage and a little more out up across the 40-yard line to the 41. First down, Buffalo. And they're in the hurry-up offense, so they're trying to strike quickly here and get back into this one as the Vikings use a couple of big plays to take that 17-point lead.
And this is the element that the Vikings defensive line wants to have. John Randall is turned loose. Fernando Smith, good pass rusher. Don't have to worry too much about the run.
On the draw, Antoine Smith gets close to 5 yards on the play as he gets to the 45-yard line, and this score is unusual between these two teams, but they've met 4 times since 1980. All the games have been decided by 7 points or less. So
you've got 2 huge plays that broke it open from a close game to just about a blowout right now if Buffalo can't come back and score.
Looking near side, has Andre Reed wide open, and Reed goes out of bounds at the 31-yard line, and the Bills on the march. Andre Reed having a big afternoon as well. Robert Griffith forced him out of bounds and maybe into our Fox cameraman down there. He seems to be okay, though.
That's a dangerous place to be on that football field. You can get those camera lenses. This camera lens right there is about a $4,000 lens.
Let's take a listen to it here.
Whoa!
Oh, actually, he's holding the audio dish, the parabolic dish there, and maybe he has a little blood from the lip, but not too much harm. We hope. He's still hanging in there. We're tough here at Fox. Over the middle, the pass goes to Lonnie Johnson, and Johnson gets inside the 25. As it is duty pay for this guy.
There's a lot of people flying around out there out of control. I mean, sometimes sound guys, you ever seen a cheerleader get drilled by a player?
Yes.
Boy, that can be not a very pretty sight.
Dennis Dean gets the tough guy award for today. We'll put him on the Madden team.
I'll tell you,
a little bit of a shot that time.
If that microphone survived it, we should put that microphone on the Madden team.
Thurman Thomas stretching out to close to the 20-yard line, and I believe he'll have enough for another Buffalo first down. Stalin Kalane on the tackle, the big rookie out of Boston College, 6'6", 288. Viking coaches love him. Thurman Thomas picking up the first down. The Bills still in the hurry-up. As we approach the 8-minute mark, Collins looking to throw it up again. And this time he fires it, and he has his man once again.
You know what, though? The Vikings don't mind this. They'll give this to the Bills all day long. Let them think that everything is going great.
And we have a holding penalty against Buffalo.
Holding, number 79 of the offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
Well, again, that's all pro Reuben Brown. That's 2 penalties on him. Let's go ahead and take a look at the end zone and what he did. Now, Reuben Brown is right here. He's working against John Randall. Yeah, John Randall gets inside. Oh, now that's not a good call. What the ref saw there was what he thought was Reuben Brown grabbing Randall, throwing him to the ground. The reason that Randall went to the ground was that John Fina, the left tackle, hit him and knocked him down. That was not a good call by the referee. Reuben Brown, Marv Levy, not happy about that. But here's another problem. This is number 61, Dusty Ziegler. This is their starting center. He took over for Ken Hull, who has been their center for, well, just about as long as Jim Kelly has been the quarterback. Just retired last year. And there's nobody to replace him right now. Jeff Ostrowski, or Jerry Ostrowski, but he's not done it before.
It's fall. That means 2 things. Football.
Play.
Look at Randall. John Randall gets knocked by John Fina right down into Dusty Ziegler's leg.
So now Jerry Ostrowski moves from right guard to center, and Corbin Lucina comes on at the right guard position. And Collins fires a strike down to the far side. Andre Reed gets it at the 20-yard line before he goes out of bounds.
Well, this revamped offensive line revamped even more. Dusty Ziegler, one of the steadiest performers during the preseason, filling in for Ken Hull after he retired. And now all of a sudden, Ostrowski, who was trying to win that right guard spot in that battle with Corbin Lucina as they were switching back and forth, now has to move in to fill in for Ziegler. That's three new people on the right side, center, guard, tackle, that were not there last year.
Pickup of the 10 yards rather on that play, setting up the second down and 10 for Buffalo at the Viking 20. Collins looking down the middle. That one deflected and intercepted in the end zone. Orlando Thomas, who had 5 picks to lead his team in '96, gets a fortuitous bounce that time and comes up with the interception.
We talked yesterday to Marv Levy about Todd Collins. We asked him about his strengths and his weaknesses, and he said one thing that Todd Collins needs to work on is his recognition of complex defenses and then making good choices with where to throw the ball once he reads those. Now you can see there that the ball is tipped up in the air. It was good coverage. The first-round draft choice, Rudd, right there, tips the ball up. But at the same time, there it gets tipped up in the air. And then Orlando Thomas, the safety, just gets a gift right there. But this is one thing that Marv Levy wanted from Todd Collins. That time, the Vikings only rushed 3 people. They were 8 back in coverage to try to confuse Collins on the coverage. Didn't see Rudd when he threw that ball.
Robert Smith, as the Vikings will try to pound it on the ground and eat up a lot of clock with their 17-point lead, approaching the 7-minute mark left in the game.
The whole complexion of this game has changed now. Up until those 2 big strikes for touchdowns by Minnesota, it was still touch and go. It was still all with the game plan. Now all of a sudden, Minnesota is shifting into run out the clock gear. Buffalo is shifting on defense to get the ball out gear. Look for them on defense to try to get the ball away from the running back, Robert Smith, to try to strip the receivers when they catch the ball. They've got to get it back.
This goes on the deep out pattern. He was looking for Chris Carter, and that one a little bit short and incomplete. Thomas Smith was on the coverage, and Orlando Thomas hurt his knee in the playoff game against Dallas last year, underwent knee surgery in January. Coach Fazio told us he'd be a little rusty, but not so rusty on that play.
No, that was the tip drill. They actually practiced that, by the way. Coach told us that they practiced recovering fumbles. They practiced the tip ball drill, where a ball will be tipped up in the air. The DBs will all go after it. That time, Dwayne Rudd tipped it up just like in practice. Orlando Thomas came down just like in practice.
Bills the 6 defensive backs in on 3rd and 7. Bruce Smith flushing Johnson out of the pocket. That one intercepted Marlon Turner. And Turner looking for a wall on the near side. Turner driven out of bounds inside the 20-yard line of Minnesota. So a turnover for a turnover. And the Buffalo Bills, if they can strike quickly, will be right back in it.
They will. They need to strike quickly, though. Now you can see Bruce Smith comes around the corner and really forces this play. Because as Bruce comes around from this direction, he's going to force Brad Johnson to step up. And Brad Johnson, now his concentration is gone. He's just going to fire the ball at the first white shirt he sees. He does not see Kerner coming across. All he sees is his receiver coming across from his left to his right. As the safety, or as the corner, Kerner came across, Brad Johnson didn't see him. Credit Bruce Smith with distracting Johnson, so he couldn't look.
First turnover of the day for the Vikings. First interception for the Buffalo Bills, and a key one it is. They get it back in great shape at the Minnesota 19-yard line. Collins looking near side and just floats that one away out of bounds. Nobody was open.
Minnesota's defense has stymied the Bills' offense all day long down in the red zone today. They don't mind if even here Buffalo gets a 3-yard gain, a 4-yard gain, a 5-yard gain. It'll eat up enough time. Buffalo has to throw for the end zone now. They can't afford to stay with their regular game plan. They've got to score, get that ball back. They're down by 7.
Hoping to keep the rookie a little bit confused. 3 wide receivers set in for Buffalo. 2 of them split to the far side. Collins looking flushed out of the pocket, now trying to find some room. Now throws end zone, and that one thrown away and incomplete. He was looking for Quinn Early. He was knocked to the ground hard as well. It'll set up 3rd down and 10 for Buffalo.
Take a look at the pressure on Collins. He's got good numbers there. The problem is that once they've gotten into the red zone, they haven't converted. They've had turnovers down there. Now, John Randall is going to come around from this side, Oh, right there. He's going to get forced out of the pocket. Now, you can see, though, his head on a swivel. When Todd Collins is scrambling, he's looking all over the place. That's where his lack of experience will tell. Knowing where to find an open receiver on a broken play scramble. Didn't find one that time.
On 3rd and 10, under heavy pressure, and down he goes. A host of Vikings are there. John Randall, Fernando Smith, the first two to get to him. So Buffalo may have to settle for a field goal here, down by 17.
Dixon Edwards on the blitz this time, number 59, as Marv Levy sees that young revamped offensive line collapse under this blitz. Here comes Dixon Edwards right there. He gets picked up actually by the new center, Jerry Ostrowski, but Jerry Ostrowski doesn't stuff him. He just lets himself get pushed back. See, Jerry Ostrowski right here gets pushed back into Todd Collins and tries to pick that up.
Steve Christie connecting there from 45-yard, a touchdown, but they get a field goal. And Dennis Green looking on as his team escapes a bullet, dodging the key turnover there. And Dennis Green has seen his team get some big plays here in the 4th quarter. Highlights of the game so far. Let's go back to the 2nd quarter. Todd Collins will find his tight end, Jay Wiemersma, wide open for a touchdown. Then Chris Carter coming back, using that big body to shield off Burris for a touchdown there to give the Vikings the lead. 4th quarter, Vikings explode. Robert Smith, who's there? When will he ever run the ball like that and not be touched? 78 yards, longest run of his career, and suddenly the Vikings were up 20-10. Then a costly turnover for Buffalo. Jeff Brady recovers a fumbled snap, returns it 30 yards for a touchdown to make it 27-10. Christie just converts on out on their side, approaching the 6-minute mark left in the game. 5:41 rather left in the game. They try the onside kick, and Christie might have recovered it himself. I think he did. Or did he miss it? Nope, Dwayne Rudd comes away with it.
That's Bruce DeHaven, number 1 special teams in the NFL last year. Not just because they play well, but because they're well coached. Now, this is called a surprise onside middle. That's how they call it. Where you don't line up in an onside kick formation. Dennis Green upset now with his kickoff return team because the 5 guys that are supposed to be 10 yards away from where that ball is being kicked aren't supposed to turn around and run back to set up to block until after they see the ball kicked. All 5 guys went back too early. That's why that surprise onside middle worked.
So the Vikings take over in great field position as we take another look at the onside attempt.
Whoa!
He had his hand right on it.
Yep. See, that's the thing. You coach it, the thing worked exactly like they wanted it to work. The problem is Chris didn't pull the trigger and catch it. That's frustrating for a coach to put his team in position to make a huge play, and it's just a physical mistake.
Leroy Horde now in for Robert Smith, and Horde on to get the tough yardage inside. Picks up about 3 or 4 yards on the play. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Buffalo Bills and the National Football League is strictly prohibited. You want to read the next one of those? No? No word from Trevor Mattis on that one. Does not want to read the NFL disclaimer.
I'm a lineman. I can't read. I look at pictures.
Brad Johnson under some heavy pressure has to throw that one away as Jake Reed was on the far side, and he tried to hit him over there. As we're at Rich Stadium here, the Minnesota Vikings quick striking in the 4th quarter.
It is those quick strikes that have made the difference. Again, we alluded to this earlier, but we talked to Mike Ayers, the Minnesota Vikings Director of Research and Development, and he noted that on opening day, there's 2 major differences between teams that win and teams that lose. I'll tell you those after this play.
On 3rd down. And Johnson looking near side and almost had his hand. He was looking for David Palmer, but Henry Jones knocked it away as he went over the back. So Minnesota will be forced to make a decision. Likely they'll punt the ball here with 4:47 to go.
Mike Ayers found out that, first of all, number 1 turnover ratio. Number 2, the ratio of big plays over 15 yards. The team that ends up with the best ratio of plays over 15 yards combined with turnover ratios wins 80% of the time, going back to 1984. Today, the Vikings are ahead +2 on turnover ratios, and they have those 2 long plays. The long touchdown run by Robert Smith, plus the fumble return by Jeff Brady that give them the difference in this game in terms of points. 2 touchdowns, 14 points, 27-13. So it looks like Mike Ayers' computer models have worked out perfectly today.
And a flag down on the play.
We have false start. The center jerked the ball. Offense, 5 yards. Still 4th down.
You know something? This is a great veteran long snapper, Mike Morris. He's one of the great characters in the NFL. Has his own fan club, 500 or 600 people in it. Most of the time he sports a mohawk, although not today. But he knew that they were 4th and just about 5.5 or 6 yards. He jerked that ball to see if he could get away with tricking those Buffalo Bills. Ref wouldn't buy it.
Randall Cunningham. At 4th run of the day. This one high and shorter. Steve Tasker will fair catch it at his 19-yard line. Now, how many times did you move that ball when you were center?
Oh, I never did that.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no. But, you know, I've had people try to trick me. I've had people bark like a dog at me when I was over that ball.
Did you ever catch a touchdown pass?
Well, you know something? I did. Won the game. I can't believe you have this footage. There I am, number 46. And you know something? That touchdown right there, I had more touchdowns that year than Al Toon during the regular season.
Oh.
And I was the leading touchdown receiver among all the tight ends because of that touchdown catch.
Okay.
Now, somebody asked me if that was my fantasy about scoring in the NFL.
You're comparing yourself to Al Toon now.
Well,
Antoine Smith showing some great hustle on that play, breaking tackles and getting it out to close to the 30-yard line as Buffalo trying to strike quickly here and get right back in it, down by 14 with 4.5 to play.
well, that was close to my fantasy. If it had been in the Super Bowl, and if I had fallen with that ball out of the back of the end zone into the arms of the cheerleaders, it would have been my ultimate fantasy scoring the touchdown.
Antoine Smith again, this time off the left side of Smith. Breaks into the secondary and gets out to close to the 40-yard line. So they'll move the chains. Buffalo has a 1st down and 10. But again, time is not on their side.
No, it's not. And they need to unleash Todd Collins a little bit more now. What they don't want to do, though, is allow just a total free rein for that Minnesota defensive line. Coach Fazio told us yesterday, this is the kind of situation that they salivate over tonight before the game.
It off over the middle, has his man open. Eric Moles trying to pick up extra yardage, but Leonard Wheeler is there to bring him down. Dwayne Rudd was there to clean up.
Coach told us that he likes to get that defensive line with their ears laid back, able to rush the passer without worrying about the run. He also said, though, on the flip side, that if you get Minnesota behind and a big offensive line like Buffalo's can run against them, they're in trouble. So this favors Minnesota hugely.
Steve Tasker on in the game right now. Collins looking downfield, flush out of the pocket. No, he's not. Now he underhands it and has Lonnie Johnson. But they're going to say he was in the grass and rule it a sack. And the fans here at Rich Stadium do not like the call one bit.
Well, that was Jason Fisk that had him in the grass. Also, Todd Collins thinks he should have had it. You know, this late in the game, I would rather see the officials let that go. Usually they call in the grass when there's another player about to bear down and hit a quarterback once he's in the grass with somebody else. Now, right now, there's nobody else that was about to hit Todd Collins right there. There was no reason to call in the grass because he wasn't in danger of being hit while he was helpless, being held up by Fisk. I don't agree with that call by the ref.
3rd sack of the day by the Vikings. Play clock running down. Did they get it off in time? Apparently they did. Looking. Near side, that was almost intercepted. Corey Fuller was over there as he was looking for Steve Tasker. And you might not blame him if he doesn't have the timing down with Tasker. Tasker was poked in the eye at practice, suffered a serious eye injury, and hasn't been able to work out with Collins much this week.
Well, that's why he wears this visor over his helmet right there to protect him so he can get poked in the eye again.
That one falling incomplete, and now a 4th down play. 4th and long for Buffalo at their own 35-yard line. 4th and 15. 3 receivers in for the Bills. And Collins looking deep far side. That one never had a chance. Well short of Andre Reed. And it'll be a turnover on down. The Vikings take over the football with 2:50 to go in this one. Coach Fazio and Dennis Green proud of that defensive unit for that thing.
Coach wants them to be in this situation. And boy, I tell you, Coach is a great guy. Loves Italian food. He's the kind of coach that the players have a genuine affection for. And he loves it when he can put his players into the situation, because when they watch film the next day, he'll laugh with them about it. If he sees John Randall club the offensive lineman out of the way and make a hellacious sack on the quarterback, he'll sit back like he's one of the players and giggle with him and tell him what a great job that was. This is fun for Coach.
Vikings just try to run the clock out. Leroy Ford knocked absolutely backwards. All of his momentum coming the other way. Timeout taken by Phil Hansen, who was one of those who made the hit. Now Richard Roundtree has an incredible ensemble cast in 413 Hope Street, the most powerful place on television this fall, premiering Thursday, September 11th on Fox. Richard Roundtree, that Shaft. They were playing Shaft here before the game started.
Yes, they were. It got me going today just like it did when I first heard that, boy.
You're darn right. I guess I can't say what the record actually says.
This is where you're
Isaac Hayes, right?
Well, this is Brian Billick. This guy right here, offensive coordinator, he worked at BYU on the staff when I was there way back sometime during the Civil War, I think. It was good to see him again yesterday. Giving instructions to Brad Johnson now. As you can see, his rating in his first career starts, there's only one guy, look at that name, that has a better quarterback rating in his first 8 career starts than Brad Johnson. Look who is behind Brad Johnson. That's some amazing stuff. That's how you get a contract worth $15.5 million.
And so far, he has not done too much to lose this game for the Minnesota Vikings. Been very steady at the quarterback spot for them. In that role today, replacing the departed Warren Moon, who went on to Seattle. Chris Spielman, the big hit that time, and the Bills take another timeout, their second, with 2:38 to go.
Spielman is a real throwback. Talking to him yesterday, we asked him what he might do when he retires. He said, retire? He said, I'll never retire. He said, football is all I know. It's all I like. It's all I care about. Other than being a husband and a father, forget it. And so he said, if I have to leave the NFL, I'll go join the World League. They don't let me in, I'll join the Arena League. They don't let me in there, I'll start a league of my own. This is a true football player. A couple of years ago, he tore a pec muscle. And we alluded earlier to what he said about injuries, that if you have a lower body injury, you can't run, you can't play. But if you have an upper body injury, you play. So all season long, he would have to have the blood that would internally bleed from this pec injury drained every week. As he played all year, had 137 tackles.
Johnson looking deep to the near side. He has Chris Carter, and he's got it. Touchdown, Chris Carter, his second of the day, and once again, he uses that great athletic ability to come down with the catch.
Well, this is a rainbow shot. This ball looks like a punt thrown up, and that's how Carter's able to do it now. He throws that ball up in the air. Carter has a chance to run up underneath it. That was a nice throw.
Number 28 is the defense. 2 minutes to touchdown.
You know something, though? I kind of wonder about this call. I kind of wonder why they went for all the marbles in order to be able to do this. Now, you'll see Carter right here. You're going to see excellent pass protection. Carter goes up the field. Buffalo's not expecting anything long. Now, right here, that safety right there was trying to get over there to protect that corner. They were in a 3-deep zone. The safety didn't get there because he didn't expect that to be thrown. I didn't expect that to be thrown. Yeah, the Bills right now will be very upset about this because this seems like piling it on. This is like in college. When you get a team down, you pile it on, you keep it going so that you can get stats as the #1 scoring team in the nation. I mean, right now professionals are not happy about this. You can look for the Bills to be just a little ornerier than necessary once the next series comes about. But, Denny Green huddled with Brad Johnson right before that play. I thought Dennis Green was telling Brad Johnson to go ahead and protect the football. I guess he told him, hey, you go long, throw it to Carter, let him score another one.
Chris Carter blows a kiss to everybody back in the Minneapolis area watching this one, and we got to pay homage to Chris Carter because he has World League duty. He did some analysis for FX, another subsidiary of Fox, over this spring, went over to Europe and did an excellent job. So I think you and I are in trouble if this guy decides to retire.
Yeah, we're in no trouble at all. This guy is not going to retire the way he's playing now.
Coming up tonight on Fox with last night's death of Princess Diana, tragic death. Please join us tonight for a special hour presentation of Diana, the Peaceful Princess, tonight at 7 p.m. As Eric Moles is returning the kickoff and gets out across the 30-yard line to the 32-yard line. And now the Buffalo Bills fans cheering a little bit once again as Todd Collins back into the game with 2:16 to play.
Interesting that Todd Collins is still in the game. Dan Henning knows this guy is young. He needs experience. And right now, the game is really out of reach. But Todd Collins has the chance to run the K-gun offense here, the 2-minute offense. In the NFL, he needs time. Last year, he was 2-2 as a starter, but that's only 4 games. They're expecting this guy to do great things for them. And right now, this has become pretty much a practice game for Todd Collins. They want to see him perform well now so they can get better for next week.
Collins, pretty decent numbers, 24 for 37, 292 yards. Add some more to that as he hits Derek Holmes, who's knocked out of bounds by Dwayne Rudd and Corey Fuller. So now Collins up to close to 300 yards. Of course, he'll add a few more as the Vikings play in a prevent mode and allow everything underneath.
Well, Billy Joe Hobart in the last preseason game led a big second-half comeback against Baltimore's second-team guys, but that was in the preseason. Todd Collins has had a good game today. He can be proud of what he's done. There's been a couple of big plays that have been the difference in this game, and Todd Collins, other than that fumble, has done a good job.
And Collins underthrows that one. It is intercepted by the Vikings. Dwayne Washington is there for the pickoff, and the Vikings get another turnover.
Oh, boy, so much for that, huh? He must have heard me talking up here.
That one didn't appear to have a lot of zip on it as he threw it to the far side. So Todd Collins.
Well, see, that's what Dan Henning wanted to see from Collins, though. He wanted to see him step up and fire that ball in that situation. That looked like a tentative throw. That's one thing you and I talked about earlier in the week, Eric, that sometimes Todd Collins looks like he's a little tentative when he throws it. When he looks good, he looks great. And Coach Fazio was worried about his arm and his mechanics. That's why he wanted to get so much pressure on him. But Todd Collins a couple of times today has looked a little tentative, and you can really tell the difference between the two.
Leroy Horde, and Horde getting through a nice hole off the right side as we reach the 2-minute warning here at Rich Stadium in Buffalo. All over but the final gun. Minnesota will try to run it out.
Miller Lite.
27-10. And just recently, Johnson to Chris Carter for a second TD hookup between that pair of the day to make it 34-13. Now Leroy Horde just getting up close to first down yardage to try to run this one out. Most of the big crowd, not a sellout crowd today at Rich Stadium, is gone. And there you see the numbers for Brad Johnson, and this is what the coaches want him to do. Just kind of pick it up and carry it through like he did last year on those final 8 games.
Especially that just one interception. The fans have seen enough. They know that Buffalo isn't going to be coming back. They want to kind of get a head start getting out of this stadium. But right now, both coaches are going to find a lot of good about this game. Both coaches are going to find a lot to praise. Even though Buffalo offensively hasn't scored, they got down to the red zone often. Buffalo now is going to have to work on scoring once they get into the red zone and not dinking around and having to kick a field goal or dinking around and having a penalty. On the Minnesota side, about everything they tried today worked. The best thing that they did today was keep hitting until they had a chance for a big play. Dennis Green always talks to them about getting that big play. Offensively, a long strike. Defensively, if the ball's on the ground, pick it up like Jeff Brady did, run it back as far as you can, all the way to the house if you can. Marv Levy needs to work with his team now to not give up those big plays, because that's the difference in the game. There have been close to 300 individual plays in today's game. These players and coaches are going to evaluate every one in films tonight and tomorrow. But what you'll find is that the difference in this game, out of almost 300 plays, will end up being about 4. That's it. And you just never know when those 4 will happen, though.
And speaking of that's it, Brad Johnson takes a knee. The final 19 seconds will run out, and Dennis Green gets a season-opening victory here at Rich Stadium. The Vikings explode in the fourth quarter to win it 34-13, and they make the folks back in Minneapolis pretty happy. Impressive in this first game of the 1997 campaign.
Very impressive. Offense played well, defense played well, special teams, they all contributed. Dennis Green has got to be happy because he knows that he needs to not just get to the playoffs this year, but to win a playoff game this year. They've gotten to the playoffs in 4 of his 5 years. They're 0-4 in the playoffs under Dennis Green. And so he sees this as a big, good send-off for them. Dennis Green has been talking to his players more about going to the Super Bowl this year than ever in his tenure as a Minnesota Viking. So this is a good send-off for them.
High expectations. People talk about it a lot. Have you ever been in a situation where people were talking Super Bowl this early on? Usually, I find that coaches try not to talk about that during the course of a season, and if you get closer to playoff time, then start to bring it up.
No, I disagree with that. You need to talk about where you want to go. Look at John Randall with his helmet in his teeth. This guy's a tough guy. I think if he's hungry enough, he'd go ahead and eat that thing.
Bob Sansevier from our Fox Sports affiliate in Minneapolis is out on the field with Brad Johnson. Bob, take it away.
Brad, you won and you're still standing and you're smiling. Was that Buffalo defense a little easier than you thought going in?
No, they were very tough today. They got to me a few times. This is one of the best defenses I think we'll face all season long. They played hard. We had some big plays for us today, especially our running game with Robert Smith breaking some big ones. And then, you know, Chris Carter's always going to come out with some big catches for us. I'm extremely happy with the way we played today.
How much easier does Robert make your offense?
Well, a lot of times you get backs that can get 4 and 5 yards, but Robert, he gets those carries, but then he also breaks those long ones, those 20 and 30-yard ones. It's a freak of nature when he can go 80 yards like he did today. We got to have those plays the rest of the season, so I love him on our team.
Now, Chris has been known to complain when he doesn't get enough passes. Did he say, I want another touchdown at the end of the game?
Well, we needed a big play. Anytime it's one-on-one, they went cover 3, and it's going to be a one-on-one situation for him. I threw my ball, had a lot of spin on it, it was a bad ball, but he comes up with big plays, and especially in a game like that, he beats guys deep, and he has those kind of skills.
Now, you guys, do you usually go with a bomb late in a game like that? Are you trying to run it up a little bit on them? Or?
No, we were not trying to run up. It was third and I believe 8 or 9. We needed a first down, if not the touchdown. And they were playing up. They brought 8 in the box, and it was one-on-one situation, so that's why we took it deep.
Thank you, Brad. Back to you, Eric.
All right, Bob Sansevier, thank you very much. For Trevor Maddich, I'm Eric Clemens, saying so long from Rich Stadium, where the final is Minnesota 34, Buffalo 13. Next, the NASDAQ stock market.